Good morning, Lafayette. Welcome to a beautiful Monday morning here in the month of February, and weather is on the uptick. Let's call it warmer anyway, if anything. I am your winter weather expert, meteorologist Brian Burden, here with the forecast over the next hour or so. We'll cover everything you want to know about weather here in the Lafayette area. We'll talk some sports, and we'll also talk some of the local gatherings that are going to be happening here in the Lafayette area, and anything you want to talk about. You just go ahead and chat me up when you get a chance to do that. That would be great. So there is just a ton of information besides the weather going on, right? The Super Bowl was yesterday. There were arguments over whose halftime celebration was better. The game was kind of slow and boring, kind of what we expected, though. I think it was two defensive teams that were going to go at it, and they kind of did. And it was not the greatest excitement, but it still was a pretty good game. And at least they tried to make it some kind of a ball game in the fourth quarter. But for the rest of us, it was just kind of like didn't have the Bears in it. Some of my friends didn't have the Packers in it, so we weren't real excited about watching any of the ball game in the first place, right? So we just watched some of the halftime shows, and that was about it for a lot of us. Purdue had a big ball game this weekend. They won. And of course, the Super Bowl, and then Purdue's got a big game tomorrow night going out to, I believe it's I think it's Nebraska tomorrow night, and then Iowa later this week. So it's a big week for them for travel again for the men's basketball team. Drew Brees was inducted to the Hall of Fame last night, too. They have a big ceremony for it and stuff, but they showed him at the Super Bowl last night. That was pretty cool. All you Purdue old faithful out there who remember Drew. Drew, Drew was at Purdue when I was at the TV station years ago, so I got to meet him through that a couple times, go to a couple games, watch him up at Wisconsin and a couple other places. So it was pretty neat to meet him and just talk to him. He's a really nice guy back then. I'm sure he doesn't remember me, but for me, it was the most exciting thing in the world, right? So, so that was pretty cool there, at least on that front. Let's get right into the charts, though. Let's get into it. Let me find everything here, put everything up on the screen, make sure everything is ready for you guys. And what are we talking today? Well, here we are. 19 degrees Fahrenheit currently is our temperature. There will be a high temperature somewhere near the average high again today. So this may mark another day that we actually get to our highs and that we actually get to something that's really our temperature for this time of the year. I think I did a chart up here real quick. Let me see if I can pop it up here for everybody. And I built this one this morning. It just kind of covers what we're talking about when it comes to how cold it has been, right? So there you go. Only 2 days in the last 25 have we actually reached our average high temperature. And many of those days we were 10, 15, 20 degrees below normal, if not farther. I remember a couple days we barely hit 3 or 4. Remember a couple of those days? And the average high would have been like 34 or 35. So only 2 days in the last 25. We may get there again today. And we have a lot of warm weather on the uptick. Here's your forecasted weather that to the left of this today line. To the left is previous weather. Those were the actual highs and lows. And the dotted line on the top is your average highs for a certain time of the year and average lows for a certain time of the year, right? And then these are the forecasted ones on this graph here. So what do we see here? Well, we mainly see very cold temperatures from the middle of January all the way till just about now. And then probably almost, about the 14th. And we've only hit that one day here and maybe one day right there a couple days ago. And then today, maybe, and tomorrow it looks good. Notice a warm-up trend here, though. So don't get panicked about a lot of the big snowstorms and all that stuff you're seeing from some people who are trying to get you to kind of click on their forecast. Are we out of the mix for snow? No, absolutely not. Could we see some heavy snow? Sure, because now we're getting back to temperatures that are closer to normal, and we can hold more moisture in the actual air at that time frame and get more snow out of it. But there's nothing on the horizon right now that looks really, really bad. And we'll get into some of the longer range, like 2 weeks out here in a little bit. But as for now, it just looks like a nice warming trend is starting to set up for us. And I know many of us will like that. So as I said, 19 degrees out right now, looking for a high somewhere around 35 today for most places. And we may even get closer to 50 tomorrow. This is showing 48 on here for the 10th for tomorrow. But you remember last week it said 60. Remember, there was a day it said 60 or 64 on Tuesday and Wednesday. See how the modification changes? We did see what? A trend. A trend was to be warmer for tomorrow, for sure, but not 60 or 64. But we'll still watch this because lots of sunshine here, and we're getting to that time of the year. If we get enough sunshine and there's a flow from the southwest, we could pump us up a few more degrees. So while this says 48 on this chart right here, I wouldn't be surprised to see 52 or 54 tomorrow, if it's wide open sunshine like they're showing, at least on this. And then a little cooler Wednesday, Thursday, chance brings in a little bit of light snow or some rain potential possibly. Then warmer again Friday and Saturday. And when I go out through the calendar for the entire month, it shows a lot of warm temperatures, which is nice. There's the 63, 64 again for next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. This I'll start to believe here pretty soon. We'll have to see. And then there's a drop off to the cold as we lumber our way towards spring. Now, remember this, tomorrow morning, I might come back in here and this thing will say 22, right, for tomorrow or next week or 10 days or 12 days out. So keep that and bear that in mind, folks. These are just trends. What will the trend probably be for next week? It'll definitely be warmer, but will it be 63 to 64? Well, we'll have to see about that once we get there and closer in, right? So there are your kind of numbers from the model itself and what you're seeing there, at least on that front. And this is always a bad thing when you're getting ready to click on the satellite chart and you look up and it says down for maintenance, server maintenance. That is not good. The whole site, this could ruin the entire thing right here, couldn't it? The whole forecast might only be 5 minutes, guys, me talking and making up stuff as we go. See if I can get anything out of it. They've got some stuff on X. Let me see what it says here on theirs. I'm just trying to get their charts, of course. Oh, this is as a weatherman. You always say to yourself, why didn't they do this at 1 o'clock in the morning instead of 9 o'clock in the morning on a Monday morning for weather to update their models or their satellite? It was the satellite pictures that were not showing up on there. That was what I just had on there. But the satellite picture was good. I will tell you that. The satellite picture pretty much showed nothing over us, nothing to our south and nothing to our southwest, and a few systems bumping across to the north. Let me see if I can get another spot real quick and maybe get one more chart from somewhere else. Here we go, satellite. Observations, windy. Let's go to windy real quick, just in case. Oh, notice it pops up in Egypt every time I go there because that's where I was using it mainly when Susie and I were over in Jordan and Egypt. All right, so here's some temperatures, some numbers going through where we are this morning. Let's see if we can overlay a satellite on here. All right. So this is going to be a little confusing. We're starting to pick up some sun off to our east, obviously, right? So we can see some shadow on the backside of a cloud right through here, through central Indiana. Just to the east of Lafayette and to the north of Lafayette, looks like there's cloud cover. Lots of snow still showing up everywhere. So that's pretty normal for this time of the year. And then get back through central Illinois where that warmth came up the other day. You guys remember the warmth that I was like, how is that going to really get up there? Well, it did eventually get up there and made a little turn towards Lafayette. So we're losing some of the snow northwest and north of town right now. And then we see some high clouds off towards the southeast and east of us. And that's the prognosis on that satellite. See if this thing moves. I'm not sure. There it goes. There you go. But we'll go to the first real good picture. There it is. This is early this morning. This is 53 minutes ago. They don't have a lot of pictures because the sun's just coming up. But you can see the movement on the clouds there pretty easily. And then it'll extend it out to where it thinks it's going. So that's what's pretty cool about this model on the windy. So here we are here. There's the clouds. Now, and some of this is fog too. Remember that. We're probably getting some fog off the backside of the rivers, a little bit of moisture there, here and there, some spottiness, but it kind of keeps Lafayette out of the mix. What I find very disturbing is the river moving in my eyes. Lots of high wispy clouds out here to the west, to the northwest of us. So cirrus clouds in and out during the day. If they thicken up thick enough, that'll cost us a degree or two. But if we stay in this big, broad, open area here, because this is going to keep moving to the east slowly or fall apart and dissipate as the day goes on. The cloud cover just to our west right now, or to our east, excuse me, there it is. That'll probably fall apart here in the next hour or two and move off towards the east. So no real problems from that for us. That means we stay in the open most of the period. and we do look to be at least a little better off there. So at least we did have one satellite picture we could go to at a given time. Now let's see if the rest of their model is updating at all or not. And we're going to find out here. If not, we're just going to go back to Windy and we'll see what Windy has. All right, they are 70% done with the her, and usually the her is done by about now. So let's see what happens here. All right, you see Lafayette right about here, just to pinpoint it there for those of you who are not geographically adept to anything. Indiana, the state there, and Lafayette, right where the cursor is, my little finger pointing at that. And then we push it off and we start to go through the forecast. This is an hourly forecast. 19Z, 20Z. Now 20Z is 8 o'clock, right? But that's actually 3 o'clock this afternoon because we are on a 5-hour difference from Zulu time right now. So here we are, 3 o'clock this afternoon. I don't see any precipitation, anything like that anywhere near us. I see a developing low out over the plains, Nebraska, Iowa area. Let's see what happens with that in the next few hours. Then we go into the evening hours. Here we are at midnight. Let's go 5Z. Midnight tonight, and the low is off through Wisconsin and Iowa, and is a dry low pressure system and extends down to the low down here, which is coming out of the western portion of Kansas. So a dry frontal system and low pressure systems kind of bouncing towards our north. The other good news is see the darkened blue line right through there, the 540 line, which is 5,400 meters. That's the thickness of the atmosphere. That's generally an indicator of where a lot of times where your freezing is going to be. And north of it is snow and south of it is rain. And look how much farther north it is today compared to where it's been in the last month, where sometimes it was so far off this down on this chart, it was off of it and gone because we were at -4, that kind of thing. So warm setting up there tonight. So it looks like it's going to stay fairly warm because the flow is still out of the southwest throughout this entire time frame, with the low bouncing off towards our north. But then it kind of drags the front through by tomorrow morning. No real precipitation showing up on this at all. And then just probably some cloud cover with that tonight is what we're going to see. And that goes out to about the 34-hour mark. All right. So what will we be seeing? We'll be seeing some warmth to our southwest that will be dragged into our area today and tomorrow probably. Then the front will wash through and kind of kill the temperature off. So let's take a look at that real quick. We didn't see any precipitation on there. I'm going to zoom in closer too. Let's go into the real close in shot for northern Illinois. And we see that there's nothing there precipitation wise, right? Here's that front kind of coming through. The low is now up over Michigan. Another low is kind of washing out back towards Kansas and Missouri. And the front, you can kind of drag it right along through there is where the frontal boundary is. And that will be passing through by tomorrow morning sometime. Here we go. Doom, boom, by noon. Let's see, that's 10 o'clock. 11 o'clock, it's past us, give or take a little bit. And so then I would see our wind shift from which would have been southwest and west to now northwest and north as that happens tomorrow as it goes through during the day. And there you go. Now, that could drag some clouds off of the lake, of course. That's always a possibility this time of the year. Let's take a look, though, at the surface temperatures and see what it does do. We'll come back to where we are now. There we are back here. And this is, let's see, let's go. There's 10 o'clock. It says 27. We know we're like 17. So we're going to start warming up pretty quick. What did it show? It shows us at 24 at this time frame. So we're actually, the model's saying we're warmer than we were. Let's see what the actual temperature is now 20. So it's not that far off. It's a few degrees off, though, still. And then it goes up to 27, 29, 32 by noon today. 35 later, 37, 39, 38. Now, what did I say? I said if we get some open spots and we stick with the sunshine, that we would probably get a degree or two warmer. Now, the model was saying 38. This says 39, right? So 40 is not out of the question. But you notice these little pockets right here, these little pockets of cold. That is actually because there's snow still on the ground here. Still snow on the ground in Lafayette, out to our west, yet there's no snow out in these areas, which means the ground can warm up easier and warm the air around it easier. So we need to get rid of the snow before we'll actually get some extra temperatures in here and some warmer temps in here. That's probably exactly what that is showing right there. So snow still on the ground showing up this afternoon. And it's going to melt. I'll go to a chart that shows that here in a little bit too. But here we are overnight. It's staying right around freezing. So tomorrow morning, still looking pretty warm. Then we warm back up. maybe to 38, 40. Woo, look at that. Right before the front goes through. Look at the temperature jump 47, 48, 49. All right. And that will be probably be again dependent on this is supposed to be a dry front. Will it have how much cloud cover will it have with it? Well, I'm going to assume there's going to be a bit of cloud cover with it. And that's just that temp of 48 is going to be pretty close, I would think, at this point. But let's go back and look at clouds. I think I've got that somewhere on here. Precipitation. There we go. Average cloud cover. You notice we're overcast during that period, right? So let's go back to today. And here we are this morning with the clouds moving off. And then these are high clouds that are coming in. So it looks a lot worse than it is. Remember, we saw the wispy stuff on the windy shot, all this wispy stuff off here. Not thick enough all the time to stop the actual sun from taking its effect, but it could be. It could be. So that'll be something we'll watch as the day goes on. And it just kind of stays over us. It's a lot of cirrus clouds, those high clouds. And then what time is that? Tomorrow, here we are in the early morning hours. It clears off again. And then we get back into some mixed clouds as the system comes through. So kind of in and out with the clouds, but a lot of them will be beautiful today with the high cirrus clouds in the area. Those are always beautiful to see. Hopefully, maybe some of you took some good, beautiful morning shots this morning as the sun rose, depending on the angle of where those clouds are off to our east. And then again this evening, if the cirrus is still around us, we'll have some beautiful hues of different reds and probably oranges out there and different colors that you'll be able to see. Take a picture or two and send it in to me. That would be great. I'd love to see somebody that would do that for us, and we'd be able to see who that is. Hey, Ray's in here. I'll be talking Purdue basketball here shortly and the Super Bowl, Ray. I'm gonna type in. All right. There we go, Ray. All right, so I'm talking to Ray right now, which is nice. And the other thing is it's got real I turned the heater on in here. It's got real warm. So we got to get away from that. All right, there we go. We can't have me sweating on the air there. So we're still talking the weather at the moment. And Ray, I'm going to get into Purdue, the Super Bowl in a little bit after we're done with the weather, which you know me, I'm going to go on for another 10 or 15 minutes with the weather the way it is. Although with the Super Bowl, there's a lot to talk about, at least on that front. Okay, so there's the cloud cover. So now let's go back in and look at the surface temperatures again, and we see the direction of the winds coming out of the northwest there, and the pocket of cold is now off to our east, right? Overnight tonight. The folks over in New York have still been seeing temperatures at or below zero. So while we have warmed up, they have not yet. And the overall look is the western half of the United States has been very warm. And now the central portion, and that includes us, is going to warm up for a while. And we'll have to see. And then I've seen lots of forecasters running out there. Winter's coming back in 2 or 3 weeks. Look out for the terribleness. Again, we got to watch what we're looking at when we look at charts like that. And maybe I'll dig a few of those up this week and we'll look at the long range and see what it really looks like for those really, really long range forecasts. But for the time being, let's hit the NAM real quick here, see what it says for temperatures for today. And it's showing mid 30s there. See if we pop up anywhere. About 34, 35 is about all the NAM is showing for our high today. So it's being a little more negative. But now remember, the temperature is already a couple degrees cooler than what the HERS said it was going to be. And then it says like 30, maybe 38 or 40 tomorrow. See how the forecasting can be pretty tough at times. You got one model saying almost 50, and this one says we're not even going to scratch 40. So now we got to figure out what is and what isn't going to happen. Sometimes it's the timing on when the front moves. That can easily be seen in differences. Sometimes this looks like it just doesn't think there's as much warm air. And that could be a strong possibility, especially with us still having snow on the ground in the area. There we go. We'll go through that. Let me see if I can find that chart for you guys real quick here. Winter total snow depth. Here we go. Okay, so here's where we are right now. Total snow depth. Remember, there was a patch out here to the west. There it is. Still lots of snow on the ground out here. Still lots of snow on the ground here right near Lafayette. That's saying we have an average of 1.8 on the ground. And then watch what happens over the next day, right? We know we're going to warm up. So look at the snow start to dissipate and disappear, melt basically, right? And then by the end of today, it's saying most everything will be gone except for piles probably, right? That big batch out to the west over near Danville and stuff between Champaign and Danville, they still have plenty on the ground there. It's not on the highways or anything, but there's plenty there. But that affects the actual temperature too, remember, because it's like a source of cold that's right there near the ground. So then it's saying tonight it's going to continue to melt. Let's see what happens for tomorrow. Does it melt some more? It does. Notice the warmth come in and look at that. Almost gone by tomorrow. You know as well as I do that the 6-foot piles that are in the corners on the parking lots is not going to disappear. But anything that was just standing snowfall should be gone by tomorrow sometime with the warmth that's coming in today and tomorrow. So I see if the NAM had it. Do they even have a chart that does that? They do. Let's see. The time frame still shows it being enough snow on the ground for us for a bit. It's saying it'll be a couple days before it melts it all out of here. So for that one, is that total snowfall, total snow depth? Yeah. So that's what the NAM is saying. All right. So now let's go back out to the big picture real quick here. I'm going to zip back out to the frame here, and let's go out to the European model and see. And the European model, let's see what we've got here on this. We want to go for precipitation and see what it says and where it says systems are going to be. Oh, that's in the part of the here we go. Okay, so this is still from last night's model because they're doing their updates. Um, there you go. So you see the system staying to our north, like we were talking about. So the jet stream has moved to our north a bit, right? And then we have some rain to our south. Now we're out. This is out to next Thursday. You notice there was no snowfall, no rain, no nothing on there. And here we are, a Thursday this week already, right? Going into Friday, one little system passes to our south. Now, do we get something out of this little thing here Thursday night into Friday? That we'll have to keep an eye on. And we're on the side of the snowfall on that. So that's something to watch there. That would be Thursday night into Friday, but it doesn't look like much. It just falls apart. And then we move on. Here we are Friday. Now we're moving out to Saturday. There is this big storm brewing here. And I think the model showed this last week as being late this week, right? So here we are Saturday coming into Sunday. Now that is a good storm right there. Look at this. Look at this low pressure system here. Now, there's good news and bad news in this. If you love winter, this is not a winter storm. The warmth is way up to the north right now, 5,400 line on this as of Sunday morning. This would be 1 o'clock in the morning Sunday. This low would be approaching us with heavy rains, strong gusty winds, and the potential for, all kinds of different things. Could we even see severe weather? Down here, Tennessee could be seeing some severe weather this weekend. Strong possibility down there. Lafayette looks like we're just far enough north. We're going to stay out of most of that. Does that mean we could see some thunder or lightning? Sure, we could. We could see lightning, hear some thunder as possibility. Then it doesn't even get that cold after it goes through. Even though we're not looking at temperatures, I'm just looking at thickness charts. There's another little wave of something next Wednesday, goes by to our north, and there's just not a lot there. So there's our big system. It looks like Saturday into Sunday. That's the one we're going to have to watch out for right there. Now, what's that going to do to our temperatures? What does this say? It says it's going to do. And you notice the temperatures are warm everywhere around this thing now, right? Everybody's in the 30s, 40s, 50s. So it says snow is going to be way up in here. And just because you're 34 on the ground does not mean you can't get snow out of this. So that's something we'll watch. But generally speaking, because the low is here and all this warmth is coming up, it means the air above the ground is also warm, right? Say at 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet, where the snow is coming from, right? And so then it melts and it becomes rain, obviously, as it comes down instead of snow because it has too far to fall through warmth. I think I've got it here. I'm going to try to do this while I'm sitting here and talking to you guys. There was something pretty cool that came out on Friday. Remember Friday, it was snowing off and on, just very light snow. It wasn't anything really major, but it did pop out some grapple. If you know what grapple is, let me find the pictures of it. Got to airdrop it to myself. Totally forgot about this until we started talking about it here. So there it is. Give it a couple seconds. We'll let it come out. But grapple is something. There it is. All right. Yeah, we don't need that one in there right now, do we? Okay, so here's the picture of grapple. And what do you notice about this snow that is different from other snows? They look like little mini snowballs, right? They look like real small little snowballs. Now, how does our snow get like this? How does it become graupel? Well, graupel basically is snow. It falls from the cloud as snow. It goes through a layer in the atmosphere that is warmer and it starts to melt. And then it falls into another area that's colder and then it freezes in that melted state, which ends up being little snowballs. And it's called graupel. Graupel. It's pretty cool. So there's a picture of it. I was able to zoom in on the ground, see if we can get in real close. You see how they look like lots of little snowballs, but if you really look close, even in a couple spots, you can still see some kind of little edges that go out that kind of look like snowflakes, right? But all of it had a chance to melt just a little bit. Pretty cool. Graupel that fell on Friday, at least on that front. All right, so nothing there. Where did my picture go here? Oh, we got that. All right, there we go. Okay, so there's the warmth on Saturday into Sunday with that system coming in, and it looks like a lot of rain involved with it right now. Now, remember, this is the European model, which for my book has a tendency to overdo everything, but at least it shows stuff that's going on. Shows some warmth for next week into the 50s. There we go. Maybe even closing in on, nope, still 50s pretty much. There's that 60. What about that? There you go. Wednesday next week, 65 degrees in Lafayette. Golf time, baby. Get out there. Then I'll be complaining it's too warm already. Then there's a reinforcing shot of the cold later in the week next week into Saturday and Sunday next week. And then we're back to some warmth again after that. Okay, so now let's go to the GFS. Let's come back here and look at GFS's temperatures. And the GFS will go out a full 2 weeks, remember? That's how far it'll go out. And we start with today. Here we are. Well, this is tomorrow, low to mid 40s, it looks like 45. Lafayette is right here. Matter of fact, let's zoom in so we can see it a little easier. We could see all the trends. We kind of have a general idea what's going to be happening. But there we are. Lafayette's right here. It's 34 overnight, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, even 30 degrees. Still kind of warm. Look at this. Now, instead of not even being able to get into the 20s, it looks like we're going to be the 20s or warmer just about every day for our lows, and our highs in the 30s to 40s. I don't see a lot of big change here temperature-wise. Let's see if it jumps up next week. What was that? Wednesday, Thursday next week. Here's Monday. Oh, Monday's closing in on 60. Tuesday, there we go. That is 60 degrees on Tuesday. And then there we are pushing close to 67, 66 degrees on Thursday. So the European model says it's going to happen. This says it's going to happen. The only problem I have is both of these models are 12 hours old already, right? Because College of DuPage is doing their updates or upgrades to their computers right now. We've lost the current one, but so that's something to keep an eye on, though. Definitely, I like that. But if this wind is going to come in from the southwest like this, we are going to see that type of weather come through, warmth for sure. And then boom, you can kind of see the cold jump in there. Frontal system comes in late next week and then reinforces the cold a little bit, and we're back down to normal or just below normal temperatures, right? So by this, looking out for the next few weeks, there is no real cold weather in here. So that's the good news. A lot of people will like that. But let's take a look at remember I told you about the storm coming in. What about thunderstorm potential with that kind of thing? Let's look at some of the convective information on that. And I want to go to, I think, let's go to the ECMF. What do they have? Temperature, dew point, convective. What do they got? Convective. Mm-hmm. Every model has a little something different in it, so you got to kind of go looking around for things sometimes. Precipitation, most unstable Cape Shear areas on this one. Let's see what this shows. Does anything pop up over Lafayette come, what is it, Saturday, Sunday, right? Oh, there it is. There's a little shot of stuff. Remember I said it would stay south of us? I bet if I broaden this out, there's a bigger picture of it south of us, right? Yep, see that? Down here is your main area, Tennessee, right? Tennessee and Kentucky. For us, maybe a slight chance of a thunderstorm coming by, that kind of thing, on Sunday morning as you're heading off to church, that kind of thing. Actually, may even be past us by then. But if you're heading to Tennessee or Kentucky, good chance of thunderstorms down there on Sunday morning. And then the other positive about this is it is in the morning. At night, the atmosphere tends to become more stable, and so the thunderstorms don't get as big. Now, what you're saying to yourself, but Brian, we get big thunderstorms all the time at night. Yes, we do, But generally speaking, let's say 80% of our really, really bad thunderstorms come in the late afternoon and very early evening hours, right? Not in the early morning hours. So that's kind of how that works out. So this is what I'm saying right now is this is a good timing for the Tennessee folks, at least right now. You go back though, just an hour or two. Here we are. That's at midnight. It's over by the Mississippi River, and then before that, by late in the evening. So Arkansas, if you happen to be going to Branson, that way area, southern Missouri and western Arkansas, Saturday afternoon, it looks like there'll be a really good chance for some thunderstorm activity down there for those folks in that area, but not for Lafayette. Not for Lafayette. We're out of the mix for right now. No worries for us that way. We're just got, it looks like a slow warming trend with some really big pops in there maybe next week where we could get up into the 60s and maybe even harbor. We'll have to see. Three models are saying in the 60s, so that's pretty positive in my mind, at least at this point, that it's definitely going to warm up to 60, I would say, next week. So that'll be nice for most of us. All right. So let's see what else is going on in the world. Let me pop back to the live stream. Oh, yep, there we go. Ray's still in there. Ray wants to talk some sports, and here's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Let me come back out of here. When we were talking about the sports and what happened last night in the football game, it was an exciting Super Bowl for lots of people. If you're a Seattle fan, if you're a New England fan. Now, I saw a chart of the United States that said Seattle on one side, right? A little dot there for Seattle, and then a little dot on the other side for New England. And it said everybody else in the middle didn't care. That's kind of the way it was. It's just a chance to have some snacks and talk with some people and just watch a little bit of football and some funny commercials if your team's not in it anyway. That's the way most of us are starting to feel about it. And maybe that's just because I'm getting old. It used to be exciting and no matter who was playing, but now it's not that big a deal anymore to me. So maybe it is to you. We'll have to see on that front. But generally speaking, it still was the Super Bowl last night, and it was kind of exciting in what it was doing. But I noticed they've already, and if you didn't know, Seattle won the game last night, 29, I think it was 29-13. And it was pretty much a defensive show the entire game. I think they kicked 5 field goals, and nothing could go right for New England at all. Lots of sacks. It was defense really showed well for Seattle, and to be truthfully honest with you, the Patriots defense wasn't bad at all either. It's just they gave up just enough points to lose that thing. Every time they kept stopping them, but they would kick another field goal. Well, there was 15 points and 2 touchdowns for their 29. That's how they got it. And one of those touchdowns wasn't even their fault. It was a pick 6. So that's kind of how they got that. So their defense didn't do bad either. They only gave up 22 points. So meanwhile, there just wasn't any fireworks, no big plays, no big stuff going on. It seemed like anyway. The running back from Seattle looked really good. That was cool, the way he just kind of smoothed his way into the line, find a hole, and then off he'd go. That was pretty cool. I like watching running backs that are like that. It reminds me of Sweetness, Walter Payton, of course. But they already have their updated list of who's going to be good next year already out. This is from ESPN, right? And so, of course, they got at the top, of course, is Seattle's number 1. Break the bank, it says, off season in 3 words. That's what Seattle needs to do. Pay for their guys that they have, take care of all those guys, make sure they got anything else needed to change, bring them back in so they run for the Super Bowl again next year. And then it says New England's number 2, and they were the surprise and darlings of the football of the NFL this year as it was. And will they be able to keep that up for next year? Number 3 is the Rams, then the Broncos, number 4, Bills, number 5, and 49ers, number 6. You notice there is no one from the NFC North in there, right? No one in the top 6 from the NFC North at all. And they kind of flip-flopped everything. The guy who did this thinks Detroit's going to be the best team in the league next year, as at number 7 in the actual power rankings of the NFL. And then at 8th is Philly, 9th is Jacksonville, and number 10 is the Green Bay Packers. And then somehow the Bears fall all the way down to 11th, right? Right? Okay, so there you go. It says the Bears, they established a winning culture that they can build off of next season. There's work to be done on the roster, notably with the pass rush and free agency and the draft, but this is setting up to be a drama-free offseason for the Bears, which is nice, but then they drop them to 11th, right? So, in my opinion, based on, which is most of this, is based on how they did this year, And then what they think maybe they'll do next year, they should still be ahead of Green Bay and Detroit, at least for the time being, right? Now, Green Bay may come out and be the best team in all of football, or maybe the Bears come out and be the best team in all of football next year. And then Detroit's got the work to do, but he put them right back to number 7, says they have to retool their offensive line and gain their swagger back. Okay, well, we'll have to see on that. But the Packers are number 10 and the Bears are number 11. Chiefs are 12th. Houston's 13, 14. Where is Indy on here? Uh-oh. Indianapolis, number 19, all the way down there. Keeping the leadership was unpopular among some Colts fans, but Indianapolis is leaning into the decisions that had it among the top teams in the league before a series of late season injuries, which is true. Still, it's an imperfect plan. Jones's long Achilles injury rehab looms over it all. Plus, Indy will need to bolster its defense front 7 and also make a pivotal free agency decision on wide receiver Alec Pierce. That came from Stephen Holder, who wrote that on there. So they're doubling down on the hot start that they had earlier in this year, which they should. They were playing great, and yeah, they had some injuries, and it took them out of it. Washington's 20th. Oh, sorry, Frank. Steelers are at 21st this year. What's it say about them? Because he's a friend of mine. It says team president and CEO Art Rooney was clear that he doesn't view the offseason as an opportunity to rebuild. Instead, Rooney signals in his actions and words that he believes his roster is primed to break the drought of playoff success. Oh, they haven't had it lately. That's what it is. Break the drought. Okay. After McCarthy finishes building his staff, the next priority to fulfilling Rooney's wishes is to identify the next franchise quarterback. Christian, get that arm cranked up, buddy. Come on, man. Get that arm ready to go. Let's get you out there for Pittsburgh. Although you look more like a wide receiver. You're built like a wide receiver. Maybe we got to get you on there. Start catching some passes from somebody. All right, Carolina's number 22. The lowly Minnesota Vikings have dropped all the way to 23. Atlanta's 24. The Giants 25. New Orleans 26. Tennessee's 27th. Arizona 28th. What happened to them? Didn't they have the Purdue guy there? Who was why can I not remember his name now off the top of my head? He went to Arizona. Bring him to the Bears. We'll take him. Miami's 29th, Vegas 30th, the Jets are 31st, and Cleveland brings up the rear at number 32 in the earliest preseason power rankings for the next season coming up, literally less than 12 hours from when the game ended. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool, pretty interesting. All right, on that front. All right, so now let's shift some gears, all right? So we saw the Super Bowl last night. We had some Purdue stuff going on this week, and we know the men had a rough patch where they lost 3 games in a row. Then they bounced back against Maryland with a big blowout last week, and then they got some days off, and they came out and they looked lackluster on Saturday. I'm just being honest. They looked lackluster. Oregon looked like they wanted to win more. Plus, Oregon had a little shot of their guy who had been injured coming back. That kind of gives you some life too. I understand it, but Purdue couldn't put them away, and this has been a problem with this team. It seems like you look at all the stats and you look at what you see from other teams, namely Michigan, comes to my mind. Once they put their boot on your throat, they squash it, right? Instead of being up 8, they'll be up 16, and the next thing you know, they're up 32 and the game's over. Purdue's up 8. They come down. They've got like 3 chances to make the score 10 or 11 or 12 and could not do it. And this is in the first half and in the second half. It happened at least on 2 different occasions. This is not to say that these guys aren't great basketball players or nothing. That's not what we're saying here. We're just saying they were struggling getting it going and continuing to put that boot on someone's neck and ending the game when they could have much, much earlier. And I still tend to think someone said they're complacent and they're quiet and they're getting bored. They're not getting bored. They want to win every single game. They're not doing that. But your focus isn't always there all the time. Maybe they were looking forward to the Nebraska game coming up and just kind of put Oregon off to the side because Oregon had lost 8 games in a row. But they almost lost that game because of it. This time, they were behind with like 5 minutes to go instead of up with a minute and a half left by 6 and losing to UCLA like they did. All right. So it's just not there. Sometimes you come out, and I've said past, and some of my friends have heard me say this because I remember doing it myself. Oh, we're just playing Joe Smuckatelli and his team. It's no big deal. We can handle them. And then we come out and we're in a battle and it's 10-9 right at the end. And we're trying to figure out how we're going to win this game. Right. I'm thinking softball and that kind of thing when I was in the Marine Corps. How are we going to win this game when we should have been beating them 20-5? Instead, it's 10-9 and they're right in it. Right. Well, first off, there's another team on the other side that still wants to play ball. Right. Everybody forgets that. Everybody thinks just because you're good that they'll just roll over. They usually don't unless you get out on them 20, 25, 30 in basketball, and then it's over a lot of times after that. They don't come back from that. But if you keep them in there at 8 points, they still think they got a chance because every time they ring a three up, they're only 5 back, right? So that's kind of how it goes. But we played to our competition and go back and look at the games, right? They kept UCLA in the game, UCLA won it. They kept Indiana in the game, Indiana came back and won it, right? Um, they kept Oregon around, but they still found a way to win it. There's been the 2 or 3 games before the UCLA lost. 2 or 3 of those were the same thing. They should have beat these guys by 20, and they only beat them by 10 or 15 towards the end, and they kept them in the game and close. They're playing to their competition, and then as soon as they play someone who's great, bam, everybody's focused and right in. They know what they got to do. Don't be surprised if they win easily at Nebraska this week on Tuesday. It'll probably just be a dogfight is what it's going to be, though. It's probably just going to be a dogfight. We'll have to see what happens there. And it's in Nebraska, so you got to give the lean towards them with their home court, and they are a good team. They are a great team right now. They've been playing that way all season, but I would not be surprised if Purdue comes out and is on all cylinders. I also wouldn't be surprised if they go in there and they get stomped on because Nebraska has one of the best defenses in the country too. So that's something to keep in mind. But a good team in Nebraska, and then they got to go to Iowa on Saturday. So 2 away games before they finally come home for 3 home games. And those home games are against Michigan, Indiana, and Michigan State. So no, your next 5 games are all could be losses or could be wins. Just depends on how you're going to make your season up now. You blew one you probably shouldn't have. That's the Maryland game, I really feel like. Losing to Indiana isn't that big of a deal at their place. They did the same thing that Oregon did. They came out as if they're trying to be world beaters, and Purdue came out not wanting to put up the fight against the dog at that time, and they lost it because of that. So just some interesting stuff there. More interesting stuff from Purdue sports. Drew Brees, of course, first ballot Hall of Famer, class of 2026. And obviously the stats on Drew go out. It's a list. Just let it out. You ever seen when those guys bring out the papers? He just drops. It's got all that stuff on there. And obviously a Purdue Boilermaker and one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He's been announced as an inductee for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he's the first balloter, of course. Brees joins Roger Craig, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, and Adam Vinatieri in the class of 2026. And they made that announcement. Everybody knew it before that, but it was during the Super Bowl last night that they did a lot of that. Brees is now the 5th Boilermaker to be enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, along Len Dawson, Bob Greasy, Hank Stram, and Rod Woodson. All great players, yes. The 2026 Pro Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony will take place in Canton, Ohio, of course, in August, it looks like. I think they do that at they have a preseason game there, and then they do it either before or after or the day before. It's a big 2 or 3 days there. You might want to go over and see that sometime. It's pretty cool. And the John Purdue Club and President's Council lifetime members will receive priority access to VIP enshrinement offerings, including official ticket purchasing opportunities and exclusive Purdue events celebrating Brees himself. And local hotel accommodations from August 7th through 9th. They'll have those too. They're going to have more information on that here soon, who qualifies for that. This is coming straight off the Purdue sports website. Of course, Brees was a Super Bowl MVP and Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year. Brees retired in 2020, which made the class of 2026 his first year of eligibility for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And he set 5 NFL records throughout his career. Completions at 7,142. More 5,000-yard passing seasons than anyone else at 5. Consecutive games with a touchdown at 54. Most touchdown passes in a game, 7. And the highest single-season completion percentage ever, 74.4. He also still ranks second in NFL history in passing touchdowns at 571 and passing yards at 80,358. And that has to do with longevity more than anything else. Tom Brady's got those, right? While ranking 3rd in completion percentage and 4th in wins at 172. Winner Just they just should put winner on there. Didn't matter who Drew was playing for, where he's playing for. He just found a way to win, and those are the kind of guys you like. And that reminds me of the Purdue basketball team and who Coach Katie and Coach Painter have recruited over the years. Winners, right? Winners, guys that you really enjoy watching because they play hard and they try hard, right? Breeze was one of those guys too. He would have fit on the basketball team very well. He got drafted by the Chargers in 2001. I don't know if you remember this or not. And he spent 5 seasons with the team before joining the New Orleans Saints. But he was like, he was always like, he's not the guy. He's not the guy, they kept saying there, right? And so they went for another quarterback and drafted him in, which was what's his name? Oh, he had a great career too. But so then Breeze got traded to New Orleans, right? After those 5 seasons. And then Breeze broke nearly all the organization's statistical passing records, and he leads the Saints to the victory in the Super Bowl in 2009, just 3 years after they traded him, right? As a Saint, he was a 2-time NFL Offensive Player of the Year, 5-time All-Pro, 13-time Pro Bowler, all that stuff. He's got them all. Down goes the sheet of the list of everything. Conference records all over the place, 19 Purdue records, Big Ten career list. He still ranks first in completions and passing yards and second in passing attempts and passing touchdowns and total offense. So he was everything. He was a 2-time Heisman Trophy finalist and 2-time Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year and 2-time first team all-conference selection. I think a lot of people in San Diego didn't think he was going to be that good because he's not the big 6'4" guy that everybody seems to think you have to be. Instead, he was a dude that was accurate, so accurate that you could put the ball in anywhere. And New Orleans took it all the way to the Super Bowl and won it. And last count, I figure, no, I'm pretty sure San Diego hasn't won any. So there's Drew. That was pretty good story on Drew and what he's been doing for him. See if I got a couple of the things and some of the stats on the Purdue game coming up for tomorrow night. Okay, that's the Oregon one. Schedule. Of course, they're 19-4. 1 day, 9 hours, 12 minutes, 24 seconds to the game. Purdue at Nebraska. 9 hours. What time is it? So it's like a 7:30 game, huh? No, it's a 6:30 game. Nope, 7 p.m. officially. There we go, Eastern Standard Time. And who's it on? Fox Sport 1. Fox Sport 1. It's on FS1. So there you go. You got them for that. That is tomorrow. So tomorrow at Nebraska. That will be a humdinger right there. All right. So let's go to the next game after that, which is the 14th, and that's at Iowa. So I don't even know. Do they come back home and then go back out there? Neither trip is very long by plane, obviously. But they play at 5 o'clock on Saturday out in Iowa, and that is on Fox. So that'll be on the Fox network if you want to see that. And then they follow it up next Tuesday against Michigan here at 6:30. So they're back at home finally after a long period of only a couple games at home. 6 on the road and 2 at home. Then they get to go 3 on the at home here. 6:30 next Tuesday against Michigan. Next Friday, IU comes back to town. We got to avenge the loss earlier this season. 8 o'clock next Friday. And then the following Thursday, so they kind of get some time off again, they play Michigan State at 8 o'clock. And 2 of those are on Peacock, and the Indiana game is on Fox. And I'm annoyed by Peacock because I don't want to pay for it. Then they go to Ohio State March 1st. They're at Northwestern March 4th, and they come back home to take on Wisconsin Whiskey on the March 7th. So pretty consistent there. There's one little small gap again because it looks like they got about 6 days off between the Indiana game and the Michigan State game. And they only have 2 days off between Michigan and Indiana. Of course, they're at home, so that helps. It's much easier to sleep in your own bed, right? Not a problem there with that. And I think I've got some stats here on the guys too. Let's see if we can find some statistics here on them. The PDF. All right, so this is through all the games, and I just wanted to hit some of the highlights because I can get bits and pieces of different ones. Okay, so this is through February 7th. So this is through the game that was on Saturday, right? What kind of things are we doing really well? Of course, we're shooting 3-pointers really well, 385 percentage. Some guys are in slumps off and on, but that happens on every team. Fletch is back over 400 again, 40% shooting, 40.6. Um, Smitty's at 42%, almost 43. So have him shoot it. The guy who's kind of slowed down is Jack Benner, and he's still shooting 45%. Seems like he's missed his last 10, but I think he actually made one this week, and he'll get back on the train again here pretty soon. Those are the guys you want shooting. Daniel Jacobson's shooting 37%, but he's only shot 8 of them, so he made 3 of them. That's not bad. Liam Murphy, I'd like to see him get out there and get some shots up and going. And let's see, but he's not playing that much, which is unfortunate. I'd really like to see how he could do some shooting there on the team with that, and along those lines. But you know, meanwhile, what do we got statistic wise for teams here? Scoring points per game. They're at 83 per game, and their scoring margin, they win their games by 14 points. I mean, we're complaining about them winning by 14 points, but the reality is in the last 6, 7, 8 games, every game has been close except for the Maryland game, which was a blowout, and they lost 3 of those games. So 3-point field goal percentage is 385. Total is 511. Free throws, 75%. Which game was it? Was it the UCLA game? They probably could have won if they made their free throws, or was it the Indiana game? I'm not sure which one it was. And then now I'm totally spacing who they lost to in between there. UCLA, then they came home, played. Must have been somebody. Too many things going into my brain here as of late. Now here's conference games. Smitty's shooting 48% from 3. Lawyer's shooting 38%. Daniel Jacobson's at 50. Jakari's shooting about 34% from 3, but Omar's shooting 42. There's a guy who needs to start shooting the rock a little bit more. And Liam's at 50%. He's just not getting any playing time. And in the Big Ten, they're scoring less, right? Now they're down to 79.5 points, and scoring margin's 9.1. Plus, they lost 3 of those games, so that kind of skews that too. Field goal percentage drops a little bit, but that's in Big Ten play. You got to expect that, right? All right, so those are the numbers right now. You know, that's how it's been working out. This team is still a really good team, but the next 5 games are going to dictate what happens. And then if you have a let up after those 5 games, say you come out and you go 5-0, and then you have a let up and you lose 1 or 2 of the last 3, then you're kind of messed with everything. See, I was talking yesterday with a couple guys. They could win out. They could go 8-0 and finish the season, 17-3, and still lose the Big Ten. Well, Michigan's only got 1 loss, and there's still 2 other teams ahead of them in Nebraska and Illinois, who only have 2 losses. So you beat Nebraska and you beat Michigan. So what? Michigan that could be Michigan's only loss the rest of the season. And they go 18-2, you go 17-3, and you lose because you blew a game or 2 that you probably shouldn't have. Now, that being said, it's a long season. We'll have to see. I thought they would lose 1 or 2 during the Big Ten before the season started. Then they played kind of lackluster the last 6 weeks or so, and we'll have to see how they come around with this. These guys are strong. They're probably going to come around pretty bold and beautiful, as we like to say. All right, let's hit some of the local news. Now we hit the Super Bowl. We hit some of Purdue stuff. And then what's going on around the world. It's unfortunately someone was found dead this morning after a single vehicle crash Monday morning. The person was ejected from the car, seatbelts. Man. 2 a.m. this morning, the sheriff's office responded to the intersection of State Road 26 East and County Road 900 East. Deputies located the driver of the vehicle in a nearby field, and preliminary investigations determined the driver had been ejected from the vehicle during the crash. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver is believed to be a male in his 20s. So they're going to be investigating that now to see what happened to that young man. Bummers on that one. I hate that. All right, so let's look at some of the things to do. I've been talking, or I talked about it last week. I'm going to hit it again. Is it still going on? Was that this weekend? I think it was this weekend. It's probably over with. Yeah, we missed it. Or it's just every Saturday right now from 8 to noon, the Lafayette Farmers Market at 501 Bistro Atrium on 5th Street. It doesn't say, it just says Saturday. So this Saturday. So that was probably last week. So I missed out on that one. But here's some cool things that I was able to find. How about acapella? You want some acapella lessons? All right. This comes from the Tipica Notes, your local community calendar. If you have an interest in learning to sing a cappella, now is your chance to learn. Every Monday evening from 7 to 8:30 p.m., starting February 16th through March 23rd, you can receive 6 weekly group voice lessons completely free. Did I say completely free? From the Tippy Tippy Notes. There we go. From the Tippy Notes director, Ariel Cudworth. Following completion of lessons, you'll perform for family and friends and visit the tippycanotes.org organization to find out more and to register on that. So there you go. If you want to sing a cappella, there's your chance. How about the cupcake competition on February 13th? The Public Schools Foundation of Tippecanoe County and Prime Man, I got to work on my words. Primient. I got to read these before I read them. That's what I got to do. So let's go through this again. The Public Schools Foundation of Tippecanoe County and Primient are hosting a cupcake baking competition between teams of high school culinary students on Friday, February 13th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. at Harrison High School in West Lafayette. A panel of judges will select the best in show, and you can help crown the People's Choice recipient. It's free to attend, so come taste all the entries. Did I say free to attend? You can find out more at the psftc.org site for the cupcake competition coming up in your neighborhood over at Harrison on February 13th. All right, Saturday, March 28th. How about this? Scouting for Eggs Adult Easter Egg Hunt. This is from the Boy Scouts of America. It's the 8th annual Scouting for Eggs Adult Easter Egg Hunt, which is coming up on Saturday, March 28th at Franklin L.K. Camp in Lafayette. Pre-registration is required for the event. Over 1,000 prizes to be given out, including a chance to win sports tickets, gift cards, memorabilia, and more. Shuttles from Faith East Church begin at 6 p.m., with the hunt commencing at sunset. Visit scoutingforeggs.com today to find out more information. That's going on March 28th at 6 p.m., and shuttles leave at 6 p.m., start going. Maybe they start at 5:30, you would think. We'll have to see on that one, though. That's what they have so far on that one. Lafayette Youth Baseball is kicking off, right? They've got a cupcake competition. More, did I say cupcake competitions? All right, the Lafayette Youth Baseball registration is open from January 6th through March 9th. You can register your youth for baseball spring season online at LafayetteYouthBaseball.org. And you can do it all the way out through March 9th of 2026 this year, of course. The league has divisions for kids ages 4 through 14. Yes, going for my grandson. With the season running from early April to late June at Armstrong and McCaw Parks in Lafayette. Let's play ball, Lafayette. Or how about we do it this way? Let's play ball, Lafayette. Or let's play ball, Lafayette. Lafayette, let's play ball. All right, you guys figure out which one you like the most. We'll go with it after that. Got to vote on it right there. Figure out which one is the better of those 1, 2, 3, or 4. um, I gotta go back to this one. This one was dated February 6th. Remember the lottery ticket I talked about last week, worth over 500,000, still unclaimed in West Lafayette? A lottery ticket bought in West Lafayette is worth over 500,000, but the winner still hasn't come forward. The Hoosier Lottery says the winning Cash 5 ticket was bought at the Village Pantry on Sagamore Parkway. The ticket was bought on February 4th, and the winning numbers were 29, 33, 35, 39, and 45. So if you got those numbers out there and you happen to have 5 kids who range in age from 29 to 45, you might have them right there. 29, 33, 35, 39, 45 was the winning ticket. So nobody's claimed that yet. So, hey, there's your chance. Go roaming through your pockets, see if you were the guy that bought it and forgot about it. So that's what I like about those. I'm looking at some stuff here. Oh, Tippecanoe County, the Indiana Scanner Freaks. I'm going to try to get in touch with this guy, maybe do some weather through their channel. But he's got all kinds of information about what's going on in the neighborhood of Tippecanoe County and different things that are happening. But multiple subjects were booked into Tippecanoe County Jail on OWI-related charges overnight. This would have been Saturday night into Sunday. Elizabeth Wesner, 34, she was operating while intoxicated with she has a prior conviction, and that prior conviction killed somebody. So she already should have known better. She probably already paid for it. Now she's going to pay for it even bigger because she did something she shouldn't be doing. Absolutely no way, shape, or form. She was operating a vehicle while intoxicated, endangering another person. She had possession of marijuana, hash, oil, hashish, possession of paraphernalia, operating a vehicle with an ACE over 8.08. And then there was another guy in the car. Oh, this guy, Otniel Torcilis Gutierrez, 22, operating a vehicle while intoxicated. Emma Ross, 22, operating while intoxicated, causing endangerment. Christopher McCracken, he was 33, operating a vehicle while intoxicated. And then there's another picture of someone there with a dark eye, but I'm not sure which one she is. So if you kind of can get some information on that, it's pretty cool. I think I may text this guy and talk to him about getting some weather on there for him, see if he would like that. That would be pretty cool. We could work together on that. He can get some more pub for his page and more pub for my page as we look at it that way. So, well, hopefully you have enjoyed everything. Let me hit the weather real quick again, real fast before we get out of here. It's now 26 degrees outside. We have a quick look at where everything is going to go. I'm going to throw it to you real fast here because I know you're interested in it. Let's see how far the HERS got and see if it's finished because they've been doing all these model updates. There it is. And let's see if we can find surface. I want to go back to temperature. We already know it's going to be a pretty decent day today. Let's zoom in real close so we can see the numbers. Okay, so here we are this afternoon, trying to pop up somewhere in the 30s, upper 30s, right? Into the 40s maybe. But these pockets of snow are still here. You can see them on the ground very easily, and that will keep the temperature down in those areas a little bit, but it will also start melting too. So getting up near 40 today, and then tomorrow, maybe popping into the upper 40s to near 50. And a lot of the snow will be gone by then, except for the big piles in the corners of the parking lots. Then we get a little bit of cool weather come in, and temperatures are this actually going to still be above normal. Wednesday morning, a low of 29 to 27. That's still above normal for this time of the year. Not bad at all, really. Let's take a quick look at it. It averages this time of the year. We're probably averaging right at about 22, 24, right in there. So that's what the temperature is for coming up 29. That's not bad, above normal come Wednesday morning. And then a system later in the week that we got to worry about. Let's see what the ECMF showed on the precip for next week, right? Remember, there's really not much happening at all with systems coming in. Boom, boom, boom. There's a little sneaky something that tries, but it stays out in Illinois Thursday into Friday. Here we are on Monday, so that's a ways out. But then, boom, this one comes up. That one's a significant storm right there. It'd be Saturday night into Sunday for us. All right, let's go. There we are, Sunday morning at 12Z. So this is 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, and Lafayette's right there, right in the middle of the red. Just like the last storm, just like the big last snowmaker, trajectory of where the low goes has a lot to do with it. What I do like to see here, though, is the 5,400 line is to the north. That means most of the snow will be north of that, and we are now in the rain sector. But this is 6 days away still, so there's adjustments here. What if the low goes farther north? Well, then we get rain still, but we have potential maybe to get into some of the thunderstorms that are south of us. Well, what if the low goes to the south and we just get on the edges? Then we get less. Or the cold anchors itself a little farther south and we get into some of the snow bands with this big, thick storm coming through. See, these are all the different hindrances you can see. At the moment, though, it looks like a lot of rain coming in on Saturday night into Sunday. Kind of like a springtime storm, even though it'll be the middle of February. So there's maybe our first springtime storm, maybe not thunderstorms, just a couple here or there possible. All the heavy stuff looks to be in Tennessee as of right now. And then it's pretty quiet again. See, it's just not much happening for storm-wise. So Saturday into Sunday will be the next one, and warmer temperatures. And then there's one way out next Tuesday night. That'll be Wednesday night or Monday night into Tuesday, as I get my numbers straight on here. So that's it for now, guys. We're gonna have a warm up. We're gonna see some better weather. We are not stuck in the cold forever like we sure seem like we were for what 3, 4 weeks. We've only hit the high temperature, the average high twice in over 21 days. So well over 3 weeks, we only hit it twice. And it has been a cold extended period. We're starting to warm up. We'll get some of this snow out of here, except for the big piles on the sides. Those will take another day or two before they get out of here. And let's see if we can get some better weather in here and start going towards spring. I'm not saying winter isn't done because I think we'll probably still see some snow yet. But right now, we're looking pretty high and dry, except for the system later this weekend, which looks like it's all rain. I'll have more updates on that tomorrow. It's been great talking to you guys today. Tune in tomorrow. Hit that like and subscribe. Please go to Facebook and sign up too, because I have to have 100 subscribers now to go live on Facebook. And I want to be able to do YouTube and Facebook at the same time. All right. Not where you just go to Facebook and you click on the link to go to YouTube, but that they will both come on Facebook and YouTube live at the same time. That's what I'm trying to do. But you got to go 60 days, which I think I'm right at that now. And you have to have 100 subscribers before they'll let you go live now. That didn't used to be that way. Anybody could go live anytime. All right. So we'll have to see how that goes. Meanwhile, have a great day. Have a great week and anchor yourself in Jesus Christ, because when you do that, your path will be known to you straight and forward in front of you as you learn more each and every day about yourself, about Jesus, and about how life can be when you put your stresses behind you. It's been great talking with you. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.